15 common mistakes speakers make, and you definitely don't want to make these. And the more you speak, the less mistakes you'll make. Sometimes you'll still make mistakes. I'm going to go and stand over here for a while. So, first mistake, I'll just wing it. Oh, how many times have you heard somebody say that? Oh, I'll just wing it. I can get up there, I know this stuff. Oh, that's when disasters happen. Okay? Okay, he might be the exception then, okay? Yeah, he might be the exception. Squeezing too much material. Now, I actually had this happen to me. It wasn't that I squeezed in too much material to start with. It was one of my first engagements. It was the Airways Business Association in the Northeast here, and I was asked to do 40 minutes on making the most of your trade show experience. So I worked hard, I built my speech, I had 40 minutes of material. I get there, and they go, Russ, we've got so-and-so coming up, he's just going to say a couple minutes. It's like, okay. Well, he stayed up there for about 10 minutes speaking. Then they had to make a presentation. So the gentleman that was having me in to speak leaned over and he says, I need you to cut your presentation to 25 minutes. And I just went, okay. How did I handle that? Because I didn't know what I know now, I spoke twice as fast, trying to fit in all that material. Just, and I went through the whole thing and I got it all in 25 minutes. I must have looked like an idiot. Okay? So I'll talk about a method to help you counter that a little bit later in one of the nuggets. No pre-speech routine. So I have a pre-speech routine, and it doesn't matter if I'm competing because I'm a competitive speaker, or if I'm giving a keynote, or if I'm giving a session like this. And it's the same every time, except for early morning is a little different because I do it the night before. But when I wake up the same too, I lay, I meditate. My wife sometimes thinks I'm dead. So I meditate, and I can close my eyes. And if it's the middle of the afternoon, I can close my eyes for 20 to 30 minutes. I know I will not go longer than that. And I start visualizing the success I will have with my group. I visualize people laughing. I visualize them smiling. I visualize them performing. The other thing I do is I make sure my shoes are shined, my clothes are out the night before, everything's ready to go. I've tested all my material, my pre-speech routine. You show up 5 minutes before and you haven't tested your equipment, oh boy, that could be a breaker for sure. Bore the audience to tears. There's a lot of people getting paid to speak out there that are not great speakers, in my opinion. You've got to change it up. You've got to keep it lively. Keep everybody involved. Arrive 5 minutes before your presentation. I was giving a presentation, what's that little place by the airport in Edmonton, that little town, Nisku. Is it Nisku? And I was in the hotel there, and it was for Alberta Managers for Seniors Homes Society. So people that deal with all senior citizens. I was the second speaker. The first speaker was a lady that was coming in to speak about suicide in seniors' homes. And I had to follow that. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is like, how do you bring a crowd back up from that? So I was there because I wanted to see her, because I wanted to see if I can add on to her presentation and do some callbacks. And we're getting to the time. It's 20 after 8. She's supposed to be on at 8:30. The lady's still not there. 25 after 8, the lady's still not there. The planner comes up to me and she says, Russ, our opening keynote's not here. You're our second keynote. Would you mind going first? I said, I'm absolutely prepared and ready. She said, thank you. 2 minutes later, the lady came in through the door. They had to wait about 10 minutes for her to get her mic on and checked and her PowerPoint hooked up because she wasn't there early enough. So don't arrive 5 minutes before your presentation. You'll give your event planner a heart attack. You'll give your audience a heart attack. You'll be stressed out and you won't present as well as you can. Okay? Not have a backup plan if your PowerPoint fails. Too many people depend on their PowerPoint. Look at my PowerPoint, I'll just read it. So what happens today if I come in here and my computer blows up? Well, the first thing is, Richard has his laptop with him, which is great. The second thing is, I have my presentation on a USB drive. Always have that on there. The third thing I usually do, and I didn't do it today, is I'll email myself a copy of the presentation if it's not too large, either to myself or to the event planner, just in case. Sometimes stuff happens. right? So that's like a triple proof thing. Now, if my computer didn't work and Richard's computer didn't work, I've got this. I've got all the information in there. I've got impromptu speaking questions ready to go, and I've got 41 nuggets. So I could get through it without the PowerPoint. But
Don't just have one backup plan, have 2 or 3 or 4, you're saying?
yeah, you know what? It goes back to, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, is Murphy's Law, right? The more you speak, better chance that something is going to happen at some point. We've had it happen when we were presenting in schools where we were using the school sound system before Richard, now we have Richard, so everything's good. But we were using the school sound systems, and some schools don't have big budgets for schools. So we'd get microphones that are all duct taped up, and they're like, or the sound's not working, the speakers are broken. So you have to adapt to those so that you don't have those issues, right? The more you speak, the more chance you're going to have with problems. All right, too many I's and not enough U's. I am wonderful, I did this, I am fabulous, I am the best. Who cares? So what? Who cares what's in it for me? Right? It's about your audience. Today, you are here to learn presentation skills. And when you leave here today, you will leave armed with several tools, techniques, tips, and nuggets that will take your presentation up to the next level. You'll be a star. It's all about your audience, so change the I's to the U's as much as you can. Sometimes when you're telling a story, it is about you, so you have to do that. More U's than I's. Failure to test equipment ahead of time. Like I said, 9 o'clock last night, I'm set up in the dining room with the projector. I'm going through every slide, and it's like, oh, those bullet points are all showing up at once instead of one at a time. I need to change that. Oh, I had the same nugget twice. Get rid of one. We'll see if you catch a mistake on that later, though. All right. Not keeping slides consistent and have contact info on each slide. Have you noticed every slide, I've got my website address there, and I've got my, well, you could have a logo up there, but I didn't like the way my logo was looking, so I just put Synergy Solutions. So every slide is consistent. Okay, some people build it, and then from slide to slide, it's different fonts. On all of my slides, it's a Calibri font that I'm using. So, improper use of a microphone, we already talked about that earlier. Very important. If you're not speaking very often, the worst thing you can do is tell the audience that you're not very good at this. I don't do this very often. You haven't even said anything yet. You don't know if you're good or not. You don't know how your audience is going to react. Some of the people I have seen that have said that have got a standing ovation because they were that impactful with what they said. Maybe their presentation skills weren't that great, but the stories they told, wow. So don't tell people how bad you are before you know. And don't apologize. Right? Especially just to get up there, oh, I'm sorry, I'm speaking today. Sorry. Oh. Worst thing you can do, because it takes away any credibility you may have had. Panic when things go wrong. So what happens now if all of a sudden, what happened? My projector, my projector just died. Oh no. Well, that's it. Thanks for coming out. Now you can all go home. What if that happened? Okay, if it happened, then you go to plan B. Maybe you take an earlier coffee break so that you can fix it. You can switch out the projector. You can go to the hotel and get another projector from their AV company. Sometimes that happens, right? The mics don't work properly. In a small setting like this, we don't have to have the mics here, but I wanted them here for you to try out today, especially the headsets. Okay, so panic when things go wrong. A couple more. Forget to change batteries in your clicker and microphone. Now, those who were at my customer service session last time, do you remember? I didn't change the batteries in my headset pack. Oh, was that embarrassing. So last night, I was changing my batteries. I got here this morning, and it was like my little timer was missing my AAA battery, but I did find one with my headset. So make sure you change all your batteries. Even if you're not using the batteries that often, just put fresh batteries in all the time. If you leave them in your headset, they will go dead eventually. Even the clicker, my battery was still fine, but I put a new one in there as well. I don't want to run out during the middle of a presentation. And last one, Swear during a presentation. Oh, I was at a PGIB presentation, and this gentleman up there was dropping F-bombs every second sentence during his presentation because I was one of two guests in the room, and the rest were regular members to this event. And I was just shaking my head. I came away with that. It was like, how professional is that? I actually got caught doing this myself in a more social speech thing at one of our Toastmasters wind-up parties where I did use one swear word, and I felt bad about it after as well. It was a more casual setting, and most people were okay with it. But, you know, unless you're out with your friends on a holiday and you've all been drinking, and they say, hey, Todd, stand up and make a toast. And you're like, yeah, I can do that. And maybe then the situation's okay, but in most circumstances, don't be swearing during your presentation. Pretty plain and simple. All right.